Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙪, and today I have with me Elmer, and Elmer and I are meeting in person today. So it's a little bit different from all the other times when we'll get somebody coming and jamming the line and putting it down. So this time, if there's any problem, it's all mine. But I hope it'll all be smooth. Elmer, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Elmer, we've been going over this thing about China trying to rattle its saber against India. They keep doing some mischief here and there. They've also been doing the same thing with Taiwan. And we talked about in a previous episode how China might be using fishing boats as a weapon to try and cut off the channel. Now, go back a little bit more. I think you've done a little bit more thinking about this. You have a scenario in your mind that could play out the way things are going, looking at how things are going in Ukraine and Russia and so on and so forth. So give us a little bit of what you think could happen in the next couple of weeks to a couple of months' time. Take it away, sir.
Thank you. Last time I spoke about China using a fishing boat or ferry boats to really block off the Taiwan Strait. That was when China claimed the Taiwan Strait is their inner water, meaning it's part of China.
Right.
While, of course, internationally, there is an open strait, every day 500 ships going through. So it's really open water. So, but after that, after my speech, it's about a month or half ago, more things have developed. There are joint exercise, naval exercise between Russia and China, and they actually sail around Japan. All right, and then there's another naval exercise, one Russian ship heading exactly to between Japan and Taiwan. That strait is, I know the Chinese, it's called Kongku, but I don't know the Japanese word for it. But anyway, and the Chinese ship followed. So my reading is this: since Abe have died, which is something very important right now, Abe is the initiator of this whole you call the Four Power Conference, right? You call the Four Power Conference. He's the one who designed it and get approval from US and has been promoting this four country, and then he started promoting this extension of NATO all the way to Asia. He's been promoting that. So Chinese really hate him. So I still believe the most probable murderer would be following Xi Jinping's order. But anyway, that's not the point is, I think Xi Jinping need to have some kind of a military result, win, or small win. He can blow it up in China as a huge win. So let's say every day there are 500 ships going through the Taiwan Strait, and every week there's one American warship going through. Right? A few days ago, when one American warship going through, in fact, they encounter one Chinese warship. So what if they ask the Russian to block off Japan's help to Taiwan? They're straight between Japan and Taiwan. What if they ask the Russian to block off Japan? And Japan still has not passed the law of being just a defensive, having a defensive military. So they will be hesitant to get into a fight with Russia, a nuclear power. They will be hesitant. So they may not venture to help Taiwan, which they claimed they were going to do. But with the Russian blocking them off, they may not do it. So imagine the Chinese using some way easy to block off the north side and the south side of the Taiwan Strait while the American ship is going through, and while there are still maybe 50 other ships going through. So they capture them there and create a stalemate for, let's say, 2-3 months. And the Chinese have an advantage because they don't have to use their battleships. They don't have to use at all. They can use land artilleries or missiles from land, which is, the west side of the Taiwan Strait is all China. And they have all kinds of weapons they can use. So they don't have to risk their Navy fleet to fight the American. The American, of course, very powerful. And then if they can capture this thing for 2-3 months, they can basically get a peace talk with the American. And then it would be a tremendous problem because of ships. I mean, 500 ships a day. That is one of the busiest sea lane in the world, meaning Japan will have huge problem supplying to Southeast Asia and India and Europe going through the Taiwan Strait. And then, of course, America will probably block off the Malacca
yes.
in return. Say, okay, we allow other ships to go, but not Chinese ships. So I think Xi Jinping is preparing, using this kind of COVID lockdown, for such a thing to happen. And they bought a lot of extra grain. They bought 70% of the world's extra grain in the last 3 years. And he's preparing for this. And he's not talking about, we're not talking about landing like a Normandy in Taiwan. We are just talking about capturing 2 islands very close to China mainland in the Taiwan Strait. If he can just capture these 2 and negotiate something by keeping the 2 islands, very similar to what Putin is trying to do for Donbass, right? It's called Donbass. In the eastern Ukraine. Very similar. So he can force on the U.S. to negotiate, and then at home he can claim victory. Oh, I fought against all the people because the 20-some countries joined the fleet. So he can get re-elected to continue his rule in China. So this is my theory, but of course I have no evidence. But I see many things supporting this theory, and I'd like you guys to also to think about it.
Yeah, so two or three things I want to ask you. One is, see, Malacca Strait, cutting it off for China will basically give US to prevent China from exporting to Europe and to US, unless China wants to go the other way, but then that's open sea, that US can easily cut it off. That's one thing that China also has problems. So its exports are going to be completely smashed if that happens. So that's one challenge for China too. It's not a tit for tat kind of thing. Second thing is, why should all these commercial vessels go through only in between the strait? Why can't they go around Taiwan?
Very high wave. It would take very risky also. Very risky.
Oh, I see. So choppy seas.
Choppy sea, because what happened in Japan and Korea, all their oil is supplied through this strait.
Oh, I see.
So there's a reason. Of course, they can do it, but it would take much longer. And then it's good. At least they can capture, let's say, 100 ships inside the strait, and disrupt the entire global supply, which we're already in trouble.
Right.
And they are ready because they have done 2 rehearsals by using the COVID lockdown.
Right.
They've been rehearsing that.
Right.
So I truly believe that may happen, and it's logical, and it doesn't have to cost China a lot. So even 2 days ago, they are exercising the coast of China, exercising in case they call natural disaster. But it could also be Americans shooting missiles at them, right? Or even up to nuclear weapon. So people are kind of rehearsed and psychologically prepared to stay at home and not going out for 2-3 months.
Right. So for China, the imports from, like for example, crude, that also would be impacted if Malacca Strait is cut off, isn't it?
But so far they have Russia now.
Right, so they have an alternate route to Russia.
Right, and since, according to statistics, in the last 6 months, compared to a year ago, their container has doubled. So you can also ship oil by train. Yeah, I've seen it happen without pipeline. And they do have a pipeline.
Right.
Russia can force Kazakhstan to use their pipeline, because there's also a pipeline going all the way from west of China to east of China.
Right.
They can, and the pipeline can be used both for gas and oil. It's not a problem. So I think they are prepared for something like that. Especially the Russian, Russians still have a lot of oil in the Sakhalin Island.
Right.
They have Sakhalin Island. They have North Pole. They can ship this natural LNG from the North Pole to Yamal down to China. And there are a lot of I believe they feel quite confident about having enough energy and the food.
You made a very important point that, it is not very difficult for the ships to go out around Taiwan because of the choppy seas.
Yes.
It is something that people don't really think about. When you have two land masses, the sea in between tends to be much more gentle. That's the point we are trying to make. Thank you very much, Elmer. And viewers, we'll wait and see how it plays out. Elmer has been almost always right about his predictions. This is something which is, again, you're looking at a situation developing and geopolitics, and we think that something like this could happen. So just take it from that perspective. We're not saying this is going to happen, but this could happen. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
Thank you again. Thank you for interviewing.
Thank you.